Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Evan, and I'm going to be talking about Turo and for this video. And you might be wondering, he's only got one video on his page about YouTube or about Turo. Why the heck is that? That is because I only need one video to talk about Turo, all right? And I'm going to talk to you about the truth about Turo and how I feel about Turo and why I think Turo is not good for anybody, to be honest with you, unless you're just really hustling. And even then, I'm just like, where is this money, or how are you getting money on Turo? And I feel like a lot of people on YouTube, they don't talk about the bad about Turo. You know, usually if you're going to try and you're trying to start a business on Turo, you're searching on YouTube, Turo best cars, Turo this, and that's the things that they want to, they're talking about. What's the best car that I could rent out on Turo? And those things are good, but it doesn't really help you with the app functionality, how the calendar works, how your prices actually work, and how much Turo takes from you each day for each car that you have. And so, I only need one video about Turo to share with you. Like, I don't need to be making like 1,000 videos or anything like that. Nah, just one video. I'm gonna give it to you straight, give you my experience with Turo and how it affected me and why I don't want to do Turo, to be honest with you, because it's not worth it, in my opinion. So basically, I'll give you guys a kind of rundown of kind of what I did and how I wanted to start my business with Turo. So I started, honestly, first of all, it doesn't take me long to figure out that doing this is not a money maker. It's real slow. But I've been wanting to do Turo for a long time. I've been thinking, I love cars. First of all, I love cars, and I love the idea of being able to buy cars and to rent them out to people, let people experience what, I like in the car, my city, stuff like that. I thought that was amazing and super cool. So I did a lot of research online, and I finally got to the place to where I was like, you know what, bump it. Let's just buy a car. Let me do this and let's get into it. So what I did was I was just looking on Facebook. Honestly, I did a spreadsheet of like a bunch of cars that people were suggesting to get, and I just put them in there, and I was scouring Facebook Marketplace for a car in my price range. And I'm after, because I'm after cars that are cheap cars that people just need to get a ride. They just need to get a car for a day or two just to get them from place to place. So for Turo, you have to have a car that is 13 years or newer. It can't be more than 13 years. So in my case, this is 2025. I have, it might be 11, or it might be 12 years, 12 or 13 years. Anyway, I have the bare minimum. And so I have a 2014 Chevy Equinox. That was my very first car that I got, and I bought it for $7,000. It has 110,000 miles on it. And honestly, it's a pretty good deal. The car is amazing. I think it's a great car. There's nothing wrong with it. The paint, and all that stuff is good. The interior is leather, heated seats, all that type of stuff. And it was cheap, $7,000. And that's what I'm after. I was after something that was gonna be as cheap as possible to where I could make money off of it as quickly as possible. And based on information that I found on YouTube, was that your average car can make about $800 to $1,200 a month. And so I was like, all right, let's see. So within the first couple weeks, I realized that it's not worth my time, or the risk is not even there for the money. I'm trying to think of where I didn't make any notes or anything like that. I'm literally just kind of talking. So I spent $7,000 on the car. And what I did was I bought, first things that you have to remind yourself when you're gonna get into the Turo business is the price of the car, your insurance. Most insurances make you buy a tracker. So the price for the tracker, I had what did I have? What did I have? I had some X insurance, and then I had one GPS put into it. Basically, you just buy it online, and then you just put it into the OBM or whatever that thing's called down low by the steering wheel, and it tracks it. So you have to do your price of your car, the insurance, the tracker, and then you have to do the price of car washes and keeping the car clean. I just did like quick whack, you know what I mean? Like I ain't got time to, I don't know, clean the car myself or to buy something to do it at my house. It's just cheaper to go to a place, they have free vacuums, clean the car out at the same time, or clean the car on the outside at the same time. So that definitely seems worth it to me. So you have that price, and then you also have the price that Turo takes from you, which you can either choose a 90%, 10% plan where they take 10%, you get 90%. And then it can go all the way down to 60-40 to where you get 60-40, or you get 60 and they get 40% of your income per day, like each trip, whatever. And what I chose, and first of all, I don't want Turo to take any of my money. So, I am willing to take the risk of the 90% and 10% because I want as much money as I could possibly take. And with the 90% and 10% plan, that means that my deductible for my insurance, because you also have to have insurance for when the car's on a trip. So the insurance that I get separately is insurance for me when I am just driving the car from place to place to get repairs, stuff like that, in case I get in an accident. That's what my insurance is for. You also get insurance for when the car's on a trip. And so that's what the different plans are for. On Turo is for when the car's on a trip with a guest. That's what that's for. So I chose the 90-10 plan, which means my deductible is $2,500 a month, and basically that's it. Honestly, and I've read a lot on YouTube and different places that Turo does not want to help us. Basically, they're not for the host. They are for themselves, and they're for the guest. And so I was like, all right, well, if that's the case, then I might as well do the 90-10, because if they're not going to cover a small dent or certain things on the car, and I'm just going to have to pay out of pocket anyway, who cares about what my deductible is? I'm just going to use that in case the car gets totaled, or it's in a crazy bad accident. So that's why I'm doing the 90-10. With that, and things that I don't understand, that if you're wanting to get into the business, that you need to do some research on, is so Turo makes the host get insurance through them when the car's on a trip. Turo also gives the option for guests to get insurance for themselves when they're on the trip with my car. So I'm really confused on why I have insurance through Turo and then the guest has insurance through Turo. Like, I feel like they're just trying to get as much money as possible, and so they're getting money from me and from the guest. And honestly, I don't like that. I feel like that's, like, I just don't understand. I don't understand that. And then they also have trip fees that they say are for their business, to keep the business going, keep Turo going. And what that is, and that I found out, so I have my Chevy Equinox 2014 on Turo, and then I have my truck. I have a 2019 Toyota Tacoma, and I wasn't driving it, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna throw this, like, two cars are better than one, so I'm just gonna throw this up on there. And what I realized was it doesn't really matter whether you have an older car on Turo or you have a new car on Turo. You're still gonna get the same price basically per month, honestly. Like, you're not gonna get much more money for a new car than an older car. I don't think so. Especially with the risk. Like, if you have a newer car on Turo, you're gonna have to pay. You probably have a loan on the car, and so you have to pay that off. Versus going and getting a car off Marketplace that's $7,000 that you could pay cash for. You don't have to pay it's less risk. And so, I guess what I'm saying is, like, with my truck, I didn't see how I was making money because, I put the car on the market for each day. I think it was at like $46 a day on my side. So I was getting $46 a day for the truck. But what Turo gives the guest is, a guest, when they get my truck for a day, they can go 200 miles. They can go up to 200 miles a day. So if they rent the car out for a week, they can go 1,400 miles. That's a lot of miles for so little cost. Like, I had my truck go on a week rental, and I think I made $300. And he could have gone 1,400 miles in my truck, and for only $300, that's wild to me. Like, I feel like that is depreciating my car so much. And honestly, I took it off Turo because I was like, look, this isn't worth it. I can go and make $300 doing anything. Like, that's like nothing. And it took a week to get that. And so I guess what I'm thinking is, whether you have 2 cars, 1 car, or 20 cars, you're still in it a lot of money, and you're not making much. To make my money back on my Equinox, yes, I have this Tacoma that is paid off, and I don't have anything on it, so it's basically just putting it on Turo for free, but they're still using my miles. But to pay off the Equinox, just to get my $7,000 paid off, it's going to take me a year, at least a year. Actually, yeah, at least a year, because before I can even make any money on it. And then who knows, the risk in if someone gets in an accident, then I got to pay the $2,500 deductible to get my car fixed, which doesn't even make sense, because if the guest is getting insurance, why am I having to pay insurance for the trip? Or why does the guest have to? Like, shouldn't that just be on Turo? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm so confused. So if you guys have like solutions to what the questions that I'm asking, just put it in the comment. Sure, that'd be great. But I ended up taking my truck off because it doesn't make any sense. And with Turo, with the, when you put, the prices that I put per car per day on the calendar, basically for my 2019 Toyota Tacoma, I could only go down to $40 a day on the calendar for my side. I couldn't get it to go any lower if I wanted to. Like, if I wanted to put this car on the site for $30 a day that I would make, I couldn't do it. On the Equinox, I could go down, I don't know how far down I can go. I think I was at $33 that I was making per day. And I could probably go lower. So like, it depends on the year and the value of the car. Turo limits how low you can put it up each day, if that makes sense. So, I don't know why you would want your car to be lower than, $40. Honestly, I just wanted to put it out there to see if I can get some people to give me some reviews, and to do that. That was the goal. But also when it comes to, so say I set my car for a daily rate of $40, Turo, they have trip fees like I talked about earlier, and they can adjust the price from 2% all the way up to 100% of the car if they want to. So basically, I selected $40 for my day, and then I would go and look at my truck as a guest on the site, and it would show up as $75. And I was like, why the heck is it showing up as $75? I've listed it for $40. Well, they have their trip fees that they take. And so I'm like, look, this doesn't even, first of all, like, they're already taking 10% from me, and then they're raising their prices and making the guests pay more just to put it in their pocket. So like, I feel like I'm just really against Turo and their motto of how they're taking money from hosts. And honestly, even for the guests, But I mean, if you're a guest, like if I'm a guest going on Turo, I feel like it's a great deal because like the rules that they have for guests versus hosts is just insane to me. Like if I was to pick up a car and I say 10 a.m. I'm gonna get the car, I can show up to 2 hours late to pick up that car without a fee, without any type of consequence or anything like that. The guest has 2 hours to pick up the car from the location. If the host, on the host side, if they don't deliver the car within 30 minutes of the time that the guest selected, so say 10 a.m. and I am not there at 10 a.m., I have 30 minutes to get the car there before I get a call, before there's a consequence for me. Only 30 minutes. And so I'm just like, look, that doesn't make any sense. If the guest has 2 hours to show up, I should have the same amount of time. Because, it's wasting me money having the car sit there for 2 hours and then them not even show up. Like, what if they don't even show up after 2 hours? I could have, if they don't show up after 30 minutes, I could go and put the car back up and possibly get a renter for the same day, something like that. And then returning the car, when the guest returns the car, they have a 30-minute grace period of returning the car, which honestly, I don't agree with that either, because again, I could have that car rented out, and if they're 30 minutes late and there's no consequence, why wouldn't you always be 30 minutes late? I might as well just always be 30 minutes late if I'm renting from Turo, because there's no consequence. And the host can't do anything. I can't do anything. Like, I can't select this, they're late. No, because they're only 30 minutes late. But that's not, they should be charged. If you're past 10, if you're returning the car at 10 a.m. and you're going to be late, that should be a fee immediately. Just because, you're respecting other people's time and how much, they could be making money. I could be making money on that, but I can't because you're, you probably lied to me why you're coming to the location late because you wanted to stop to get coffee and you're just wasting my time. So overall, I just feel like Turo is, there's basically, I don't feel like they've thought everything through. And even with their calendar and their scheduling, their messages, it's just, it's very messy and it's hard. Like, I can't imagine having 20 cars on Turo and keeping up with my scheduled messages. Because if you're thinking about doing a business with Turo, that there's, they have scheduled messages and you can create as many as you want, but they don't put them in order to the car. Like, I have to go 01 pickup, 01 pick delivery, 0. Like, I have to basically do my scheduled messages in order from the very beginning, day one. Otherwise, it's going to be screwed up for the rest of my life. And that doesn't seem like it should be right. Like, you should be able to go in and make tabs in your scheduled messages of the cars so that you can see what is scheduled for that car. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. That makes sense to me. But anyways, so what I found out this last week was that Turo is just, it's not worth it. You can make more money just working a job, and there's less risk. Doing Airbnb is probably way better. Yes, it's more to get into it, but a car depreciates, and if you're building a house or buying a house or doing something with a house, it's just appreciating over time. You're not losing money. Yes, I made $1,000 this month on Turo, but my car is depreciating and my car needs work and they put miles on my car. So you can think of it as, yeah, I made $1,000, or you can think of it as, I'm losing money because I'm gonna have to get rid of this car, and when I go to sell this car, I'm gonna get less value for it because there's more miles, there's more wear and tear, there's more problems. So I'm not trying to discourage you from Turo, but just understand the facts that either you have to get a car for $1,000 that looks amazing and that you can make, there's little to no buy-in fee to make it worth it. Or if you're on Turo and you're watching this right now and you have a brand new car on Turo, you're losing money. Like, there's no way you're making money if you have a brand new car on Turo, you know, unless someone gave you the car. But even then, the amount of miles that someone could put on your car for the price that they're paying is not worth it. Like, I had somebody, one day, they rented my car for one day, and I made $28 that day, and they put 262 miles on my car. What a ripoff. That makes 0 sense. Like, I should at least be able to put my amount of miles to like 100 miles a day. Like, the lowest is 200. So anyways, that's about it. That's all I got for Turo. Turo ain't for me. Cars are for me. I love cars. I love being able to do that, but the risk and the amount of time that it'll take to pay off a $7,000 car to start making money. And honestly, you know, people say it's passive income or it's not passive income. If you have more than like 5 cars, it's not turning into passive income. It's turning into like a straight up job, and you have to be dedicated and get ready to do repairs on your car, because I rented out my cars. Like, I think I had 10 trips. I've had 10 trips, and just people don't take care of your car like you expect they would, or, you know, anything like that. So anyways, if you're doing the business and you're gonna jump into Turo, do it. Also one other thing, when I did this, I started it as a business. So I had an LLC, and I put my cars into the LLC because I didn't want someone to sue me personally. And if they did, I would want them just to go off of the company. So if you do this, I highly recommend doing it as an LLC and putting your cars on there, doing all your stuff, you know, buying all your stuff in one place so that it's simple and organized. And, you know, the idea is cool, but I think that the outcome is not it. So anyways, you guys got this. Hope this helps. You know, go do Airbnb or anything like that. All right, peace.